Alright, so in this video I'm going to be talking about some of the drama that's going on with Nikocado Avocado and Penguinz. So if you don't know who Nikocado is, he's a mukbang YouTuber who uploads videos of himself every day eating really unhealthy food like McDonald's and Taco Bell. But when he first started YouTube, he was actually a vegan and he was really skinny. So he had this crazy transition that was all documented on YouTube. Over the past 4 or 5 years, people watch this guy go from eating healthy food every day and being really skinny to like the complete opposite side of the spectrum and like eating complete garbage every day and like gaining a ton of weight. And now obviously he's really unhealthy, but it's hard to tell exactly what kind of shape he's in, like physically and mentally, because his videos are more of a performance and he's kind of like acting in them sometimes. Like he'll start having a breakdown crying and like the cry is obviously fake, and like him and his husband or boyfriend always have this like beef going back and forth and they'll like throw food at each other. And he also tries to make himself look like a complete slob and like makes himself look as big as possible and as unhealthy as possible. And he'll wear shirts that are way too small for him, and like his stomach will be hanging out sometimes and he'll be pushing his stomach out, and he'll fart all the time in his videos, and sometimes he even pretends like he shits himself. The guy's just shameless. And recently he said he broke a rib, which people are starting to doubt. And then also like in every thumbnail he's just laying in his bed now with like a ton of fast food around him, and he's also wearing like a CPAP mask, which is for sleep apnea. But obviously what he's trying to do here is get people to think that he's bedridden and he needs an oxygen tank. And obviously people don't actually believe that, but you know this thumbnail is going to go viral because people are going to see this and be like, what the fuck is going on here? And people don't know what to think of this guy. Like obviously everyone just thinks he's disgusting, but people also find him really entertaining and think he's funny. Like he's a huge meme at this point. Like people repost his videos and they go viral on TikTok, Reddit, YouTube, Twitter, like every platform. But obviously he's a very controversial figure because what he's doing is really unhealthy, and a lot of people are just sick of what he's doing and think he's gone too far at this point. And pretty much every commentary channel has made a video about how Nikocado's slowly killing himself, and the YouTuber Penguinz made a video titled that. And if you don't know who he is, he's a commentary channel, like I think the biggest one on YouTube probably, and he also does Twitch streaming, and he seems like a good dude. He seems down to earth and I really respect him, but I think his opinion on the Nikocado situation is kind of strange. In his video he acts like this is it for Nikocado, like he doesn't have much time left, and he says it's sad to see and he wishes Nikocado would get healthier. And it just seems like he's making the video not to clown on Nikocado or make fun of him, but to like try to help him maybe. But it was a weird approach that he took, and I feel like what he was saying didn't really make any sense. Like in Nikocado's videos he always says it's your fault, like referring to the audience. Like he's always like it's your fault, like because he gained all this weight and like this is what his lifestyle is now. And in Penguin's video he actually agrees with Nikocado on that, and he says the audience is to blame here and it's the audience's fault.
It's the audience's fault for this. They created what Nikocado Avocado has become. Obviously it's not all their fault. He is making the conscious decisions to completely throw away his health and well-being. Even the people that get in there just to dislike or just tune in to watch the train wreck, that's more views for him, that's more engagement, that helps him, and that keeps him on this wagon, keeps him going. So overall, it's just a really shitty cycle.
So I think it's weird for him to blame the audience at all here, because if you think the audience does play a big part here and they just keep pushing him further and further, you wouldn't want to make a video on him and give him more exposure. Like Penguinz has 9 million subscribers. He made 2 videos on Nikocado. Both of them blew up. Like everyone was talking about it. One of them got like 9 million views. The other one got 7 million. And now obviously more people are watching Nikocado's videos. Like his views are way up. So I think that if you're going to make it a point that the fans are responsible for some of this, you'd have to admit that you're only making it worse by making a video on it. And it's not like a situation that needs to be exposed. It's not like he's doing something illegal and people need to talk about it more and like he needs to be taken off the platform. Like if you think the fans are to blame here and the views are really what's driving him to be unhealthy and you want him to get healthier, I feel like as a giant YouTuber it'd be counterproductive making a video about it. Like Penguinz is basically rewarding him here because Nikocado acts like this so he can get people to talk about him and he can make more money. And a giant YouTuber like Penguinz reacting to him is exactly what he's looking for. Nikocado made I think 5 response videos to Penguinz, and Nikocado probably feels like he did his job here. He got a giant YouTuber to talk about him again. And I'm not trying to say that Penguinz is a bad guy. Like I'm sure he probably had good intentions making this video. I just think this situation is like one of a kind and people don't really know how to handle it. But I feel like if you're making a video and you're being like really serious about how dark this is and this guy's slowly killing himself and it's really sad and his fans are slightly responsible for it, it just doesn't really make any sense, and it seems like you're making things worse. If you feel like the main reason he's unhealthy is because because there's an audience for this kind of content. As a giant influencer, the best thing to do would probably be just not to talk about it. And also, I think people get caught up in his whole act and like take him a little too seriously. Like Nikocado's trying to act like the most unhealthy person ever, and he wants people to think that he's about to die. And obviously the guy's really unhealthy and he could have a heart attack any day, but like I've seen a lot worse people than him on YouTube. And the only reason people like talking about him is because he's shameless and he will do whatever. Like he embraces being gross and overweight and like out of shape and unhealthy. There are plenty of other YouTubers that are in a lot worse shape than he is. There are some YouTubers that do mukbangs that literally can't even stand up on their own. And I even think if someone didn't even know who Nikocado was and they saw him in public and he wasn't wearing like a really small shirt and he was acting normal, they probably wouldn't even think anything of him. They would just think he's like slightly overweight. Like they wouldn't be like, oh my god, that guy has no time left, he's gonna die any day now. Like I can personally think of a handful of people that I know that are in a lot worse shape than he is. Nikocado's not some person you'd see and be like, oh my god, this poor guy, he's doomed. Like I think he's really unhealthy and he's heading in the wrong direction, but like it's hard to tell just how bad it is. But people act like he has no time left, like he's not even gonna make it to the end of the year, because I think people buy into his character a little too much. And also obviously channels want to buy into it because it makes the story even better. Like if this guy actually was bedridden and he needed an oxygen tank and he was shit in the bed all the time, like that's a crazy story to talk about. Like in Penguinz video, he puts up a bunch of thumbnails of Nikocado in his bed and he has like a bunch of pizza boxes or like a bunch of KFC buckets, and Penguinz says that Nikocado eats everything that's shown in the thumbnail.
Tons and tons of food from different places, and it's not clickbait. He really eats all of that food. Very rarely does he not finish his plate. He usually finishes it or gets very close to it. Almost nothing goes to waste. It goes right into Nikocado Avocado's guts.
Like obviously Nikocado doesn't eat anywhere near the amount of food in those thumbnails. Like that one picture had like 10 pizzas, the other one was like 15 bags from Chick-fil-A and like KFC buckets all over the place. And I think he just added some food in for the thumbnails, but if you watch his videos, he still like never eats it all. Like he still has a good amount of food left over. Like the only thing that makes people talk about this guy and act like they care about him is the fact that he like puts on this whole show. Like if he wasn't trying to look as heavy as possible and he didn't put all this food in his thumbnails and he didn't have breakdowns or anything like that, like people wouldn't even really care. Like sadly, a lot of people in America eat the same way he does, and the only reason people act like they really care about this guy is because he's entertaining, and if they talk about him, it makes their video more entertaining. Like I feel like people want to act like this is more serious than it is because it just helps sell everything. Like it helps everyone's channel do better. Like the more people that think that this guy's out of control and he could die any day, the more people are going to talk about him and want to watch videos talking about him. Like Nikocado's obviously in terrible shape and really overweight and unhealthy, but people on shows like My 600 Pound Life or 1,000-Pound Sisters, like those people are on another level and people love watching that stuff, and that's a lot darker than Nikocado's videos. Like these people can't even get off their bed, they can't even fit in their shower, like they can't even put on clothes or anything, and there's people just sitting there recording them eat like a bunch of McDonald's, and the point of the show is them trying to get help and get better, but like it rarely ever works, I'm sure. And I know these people aren't like eating for a living like Nikocado, but like it's still like probably even sadder because these people are in a lot worse shape than he is, and also I'm sure they're not as successful as him. Like I'm sure they don't have the money he does, and I just feel like what Nikocado does isn't as bad as people make it out to be. People just want to talk about him because everything he does is so exaggerated, and also he's only harming himself. Like I don't really think this is damaging to anyone else. Like I don't think he's glorifying eating food at all. Like I think he's doing the exact opposite. When people see his videos, they probably want to lose weight and they probably don't want to eat fast food anymore. Like I saw some Reddit posts of people saying that they were so disgusted by Nikocado that they went out and lost a bunch of weight, and I just don't understand how it would really be a discussion at all that this guy should be banned from YouTube or like someone needs to step in here, because yeah, he is harming himself by eating a bunch of food, but like it's not like he's doing anything illegal. Like go to McDonald's, you're gonna see a bunch of overweight people eating food. Like I think it'd be weird to ban something that you could just go to any restaurant and see. And also there's a lot of other people that will damage themselves for content, like the guys in Jackass. Like isn't there a new Jackass movie coming out this year? Like these are 50-year-old guys who are doing like insanely dangerous stunts, and they're probably breaking bones and like landing on their head and getting concussions. And also people love watching UFC and boxing and football, and those are sports where you're gonna shave years off your life. Like people are okay with two guys getting in a ring and beating the shit out of each other and like getting a ton of brain damage and getting concussions and like injuring themselves, but then people are gonna pretend like they have a problem with some overweight kid filming himself eating unhealthy every day. And also in Penguin's second video that he made about Nikocado recently, he talked about the YouTuber Matt Stoney, and if you don't know who he is, he's like an endurance eater. He just sees how much food he can eat at once, but he's in like really good shape. shape. And Penguinz brings this guy up as like, I guess, an ethical way of eating a large amount of food, but he makes it sound like what this guy's doing is like really impressive. But I mean, it's still got to be pretty dangerous, and it's definitely not good for you at all. And if an average person tried to eat more food than him or like beat one of his records, I'm sure they'd risk some health complications. And I just think Nikocado's situation is something that nobody on YouTube can really help him with. Like, no one's gonna be able to make a video that's gonna turn him into like someone that's healthy again. If the videos do anything, I feel like it's only making it worse, because you're giving him more attention, which is what he wants, and then he's happy and he feels like what he did is working. But also, even if people didn't talk about him and his views went down, I still don't know if that would help him at all, because he still needs to stop eating unhealthy and lose some weight, which is difficult to do. But I hope he can turn it around eventually, because it would obviously be good to see, like, to know that he's healthy and everything like that. And also, I think he could still be just as entertaining while he's trying to lose weight. I think if he did actually start to eat healthy and lose weight, people would respect what he's done a lot more. Like, this guy would have the craziest story ever, and I think people would actually recognize him as like being talented, because like he's playing a role here. This is a character, and he's putting his health at risk for entertainment. And I'm not saying that's a good thing. Like, I hope the guy gets healthy, but there are a lot of people that have put their lives at risk for entertainment, and people respect him. Like, a lot of people act like Heath Ledger basically sacrificed his life to play the Joker in Batman, and I think he won like an Oscar for that. And then there's also actors who will like gain a bunch of weight for a role, which is obviously unhealthy and pretty dangerous, but people don't really make a big deal out of it, and people actually kind of respect them more for doing it. Like, people think it's great that they're so committed to the role. And I know Nikocado is obviously worse than someone gaining weight for a role in acting, but I feel like you gotta accept this situation the same way you accept watching two people in the UFC like beat each other's brains in, and the same way you watch the Jackass guys go out and risk their lives for content. And the Jackass guys have actually inspired like a lot of people to do a bunch of crazy shit, so I'd say what they're doing could be even worse than Nikocado. Like, Jackass started a culture of people doing like just stupid shit that's gonna fuck them up just for entertainment. And I think Jackass still has a new movie coming out. Like, I'm a lot more worried of people copying Jackass stunts than people copying Nikocado. So again, I hope Nikocado eventually loses weight and starts getting healthy, but until he decides to do that, there's like really nothing anybody can do about it. I think you just gotta look at it like the dude's risking his life for entertainment, like a lot of other people are. And if you're someone that thinks that this is a really serious situation and it's really dark what's going on here, and the people watching him are enabling him, then I think the best way to handle the situation would be not to talk about it. Alright, so that's about all I have for this video. Make sure to leave me a comment, let me know what you think of this mess, and then hit that like button, hit the subscribe button, and I'll catch you all at the next video.